Hello, today we are going to deal again with frustration, and we're going to deal with a strategy of dealing with frustration, which is very unique. And basically, Florencio will introduce it.
So as everyone knows, this is our fourth video now around the disillusionist concept of frustration. Our exploration of Mookie Tenenbaum's philosophy has led us to analyze misalgia, has led us to analyze his theory according to which human behavior can be explained as a way, always a way of avoiding or preventing or alleviating suffering. And we are discussing frustration as a specific kind of suffering and the things we do to prevent it, the things we do to deal with it once it sinks in. And there is an intellectual, a very sophisticated way of dealing with past frustration that has to do with our ability that we have discussed in the past, our ability to zoom in and zoom out on the situations we have to deal with. So we are going to try to analyze how this very specific, very sophisticated trait of human behavior can help us deal with frustration.
Good. Yes, the example I will begin with is, let's say you try, and I did it many times in this frustration. You want to be a lawyer. You want not a lawyer. That's never a good example. No, seriously, you want to be a doctor. Now you're going to be a doctor and you fail. You get to your exams and you never get to be a doctor. Once you fail in that final exam, there is really two ways to look at it, and again, I mean to look at it, that may help you deal with that frustration. Again, this is not from the vaccines so much, the frustration, the one that prevents frustration, but it's after you're frustrated. So let's say this example. Let's say I zoom in into it, and I say the exam had a question that was unfair. Remember the blaming solution. But I will zoom in and I would say, look, if that was not if that question was not there, I would be a doctor. I would be a doctor. And that helps you feel that it was because of a certain question that was posed to you. You're not blaming anybody. You're just saying, you're using a contrafactual, one of the things I really don't like, but people use and it helps them. That's the truth. It helps them. Say, you see, if that, I would be today a doctor. And then there is the zoom out method. The zoom out method can have many ways. One is to say, listen, I could be this exam. I can try that. You know, probably I can do this whole thing. I have to do the last year of medicine again. I'll do it again. It doesn't matter really. You know, people have frustration. People have failures. This is not a failure. This is a good teaching for me. In Yiddish, when the Jews say it's Rebbe Geld, it's money you pay the rabbi to learn something. That's a zoom out, yes. The other one to say is even more. It says, why do I need to be a doctor? Who says I need to be a doctor? Maybe, you know, when I will do the next career, I will realize it was a stupid idea to be a doctor. The other way is even say, put it in the frame of time. Yes, what is one career in a whole life? It's nothing. It's because now I'm here, because I don't have perspective. Perspective, zoom out, yes? That's the same word. The word perspective has to do with zooming out, sometimes with zooming in also, but in general it's with zooming out. The other way, it could be also the place where I am. Well, to be a doctor in this country, really, it's not the country to be a doctor. If I could have been a doctor, I think in somewhere else, that could have been. And again, you zoom out and you put a lot of elements to dilute it. What you do really, zooming out, is you dilute the frustration until it becomes unrecognizable. Or you can zoom in, and then instead of diluting, you make it very specific, but then it looks like only one thing prevented you. That it was all successes, and there was only one failure. And then you take the frustration and you make it very, very small. Yes, Florence.
Yes, no, it's just a question, but I follow your description, but I guess you are focusing now, speaking about zooming in and zooming out, focusing in little details and aspects, and then putting things into perspective. In the instances in which we do this by ourselves, but as you were speaking, I could quickly imagine many examples in which I've been in situations like this, but it was someone else putting things into perspective for me, or someone else helping me focus on a positive aspect of the situation. Isn't there a strong interaction involved in this zooming in and zooming out strategy?
Well, we heard many times that that hell is the other people. Yes, they are hell. Well, in this case, they are paradise. We talked about it in relation to guilt. You remember when you do something that you had guilt and there was no way you could deal with that guilt, which of course is a frustrating feeling by itself. You will go into talk to somebody who is more important than you or has a higher level, and you ask them. And then if they tell you, no, it's okay, don't worry, they are the appeals court, you win the appeal, that means you won the case. Yes. And if that doesn't work, well, you go even higher and you ask for forgiveness from God, and God, of course, always forgives. That's what they say. He's a forgiver. That's his job, and you are forgiven, and that's it. So this way happens also on a daily basis. Yes, it's easier with a nail than with the nail example than with the case of what I was saying. The case of the
failed medical career.
The failed medical career. But you may have somebody says, listen, the truth, I never wanted to tell you that, but you were not really good for a doctor. You were a fantastic vet. I'm sure you were. Or somebody, your loved one left you. Yes, your wife or whatever says, I didn't want to tell you, but she wasn't for you. She was really not in your level. You were too good for her, and you will believe them. Okay, but they have to come from somebody who you think he has an authority. It's really you giving them the authority to give you that. Of course, all happens in your head. Yes, but this is how zooming in and zooming out, and it is they zoom. They do the zooming. Yes, they do the zoom out. Sometimes they do the zoom in. Yes, in the case of let's say of a woman says that she left you, they will say, well, listen, you may not know, but once she did this or that, and she was, you see, it wasn't worth it. And this is only an example. It doesn't matter. An example is a zoom in with an intention to zoom out. Yes, I give an example, it's an intention to zoom out.
Amazing. So I guess we'll zoom out after this and stop focusing on frustration and the strategies related to that particular suffering, and go on to different topics in our future videos.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Goodbye.
If you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment and subscribe.